you're not going to find a forage wagon that can haul 200,000 litres, and if you can, you're going to need a 500 horsepower tractor to haul it. So bales is the most efficient way of hauling this stuff. And again, round balers, or the round bale collector will take 24 bales, so it's the most, making round bales and hauling round bales is the most efficient way of doing this particular task. As far as silage clamps is concerned, we only have one on the farm, and back when we were playing Lawfolds on Farm Sim 17, we only had one silage clamp on the farm. It was an open clamp, so you could just drive through, made it very easy to unload into and compact. But it was one. So we would make the silage, we would open the clamp, and then next cut, we can't create more silage in that clamp because it's being used to feed the cows. So we ended up having to cart our chaff out to the BGA in order to create more silage. Now, generally it wasn't a problem, because even there on that farm we sold 90% of our silage. Very little of it went to feeding cows. But it was a bit of a pain having to trek chaff halfway across the map in a loading wagon. That wasn't necessarily the most ideal. I mean, the upshot was I generally produced corn in the fields closest to the silage clamp, because I didn't want, I wasn't looking forward to carting long distances. If I can have two clamps on a farm, then that makes things easier, because I can have one being loaded and fermenting while the other one is being used as feed. And once the feed clamp is empty, it's ready for the next thing. Obviously on this farm that may not be quite so much of an issue. It takes 2 months for the grass to grow. It takes 1 month for the silage to ferment, and we have a robot feeder, so we could fill the silage clamp, make silage, and as soon as it's finished fermenting, just transfer all of the silage to the robot feeder, and the clamp's ready to use again. So it might not be quite such an issue, at least until we fill up the robot feeder. And again, find out how much food that cows eat with Maize Plus running. But that's all still to come. Oh look, our rake's finished. I think what we'll do here. Oops. Again, I keep saying it, but this baler is really, really nice. Same price as the other, multi-size round balers in game, but it's. I mean, it's part of what we were saying about some of the mods are are frustrating to use and have problems. I have had issues with balers in the past where they have been a bit of a problem. This one just isn't. Okay, I think that will do there. We'll turn that off. I hope I haven't gone too far forward. And we'll jump in here. Oops, engine. Lower on. So I think the way to do this is I'll do one end row. I'll go get the bale collector. I could probably get 2 rows out here, maybe 3, but eventually it's going to be a little bit of a problem. So we'll just hook around the end of the field and give us kind of a horseshoe to run around. And there we go. Okay, we can turn that off, raise it, drop it there, and then I'll go get the bale collector. I've got more than 24 bales here. And then I'll collect all the bales that are going to mess with creating rows at the end. Once the collector's full, I'll probably park it on the side of the field. We'll finish off baling what's been rowed, and then we may run some of the bales to the sell point as we go. Alrighty, let's go do this thing. Game time 11 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes there is new equipment. And the manure's sticking out the back of the manure pit. I'm not sure that's too much of a problem because you can use the auto load point for manure. Okay. So lower that. I think for the most part we've done okay here. There are a couple of sections where there is a bale on the windrow, and I want to make sure I pick those up. That looks maybe not. I see the bit where I did it. So like that bit there, I need to go back and get that windrow. Not a problem. Oh, we just completed a block. Gotcha. So yeah, as the farm ages, I'm definitely going to play with some of the hedges on the edges here. Obviously map boundaries, we'll leave the hedges alone, because it gives me a visual reference as to where the edge of the map is. But actually having some of the hedge work in the middle cleared out, kind of okay with that. Kind of like the fields we already have. We broke out down where those trees are into the canola field. We took the hedges out there so we can access that field from the farm. We don't have to take any equipment out into the road to get to that field. I think in theory I should probably put a gate along the road, because that's a thing. In the UK it's not common to have fields open to the road. There's usually a fence to keep folks out. But I would have to find a fence that works, or a gate that works with that. But again, one of the things with Farming Simulator is having gates everywhere. You start out I must keep the gate shut, and by about 100 hours into the game save, it's sort of, I'm just going to keep these gates open because it's just easier to not have to jump out every time I need to go through a gate. Key 4 is the fold up for that. So we can drop that off. I'm going to go and hitch up to the rake, but we'll finish baling the rows in the middle of the field. Of course, I might have made a huge blunder by filling up the bale collector, because I now have to be very careful not to create a bale in the headlands so that I can go back and row those. But for right now, connect. Thank you. Engine off. Engine on. Engine off. Alrighty, we are engine on. Almost empty. So finish that row. I'll swing round, get the bit we missed because I dropped a bale on it. And I mean, it's not particularly efficient me running over this bit and picking up the grass, but I'm turning around anyway, so might as well gather something. But we still have to go and row it and collect it as well. Anyway, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more rows. Yay. Then we can jump into the rake. Oh, actually, we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we'll be coming back the correct direction. And I just messed that royally. So the last row will take us into the horseshoe in the northernmost headland. So that's good. Force that off to one side, and I miss a bit. We'll get that on the way back. How are we doing? 2,500. I think this is the problem with most of the farms we've played so far. Obviously, Oakfield we had 1,500 sheep, so we had a lot of clover to cut because we were using Maize Plus on that and cutting clover every 2 months, 3 months. And here we have huge grass fields to keep our expected eventual cattle numbers fed. So we've always had a farm with a lot of grass work needed. But since pigs is also a thing, for our yard at least, we will be rapidly, I think, expanding into arable produce so that we can feed them. But, you know, that's the other thing. I mean, you're cutting grass every 2 months. And so for 9 months, that's 3 to 4 cuts a year that you're doing with grass. And arable crops, you're doing 1 per year. So you're preparing the field, you're seeding the field, you're fertilizing the field, and you're harvesting the field. And that's an entire year of production on that one field. So we're always going to have grass work to do. And I have been trying to limit the amount of grass work I do on the stream, but I don't think it matters. We're always going to have some to do every couple of, not necessarily every stream, but every other stream. There's probably going to need to be some grass work done unless I move more of it off stream. But at this time of year, I don't have anything else to do except contracts and grass work. So I need to have something to do. Once we can afford a forest, maybe I'll get a forest and we can drop trees down once in a while. Maybe even buy the sawmill and the furniture factory. That could possibly be a good idea. Obviously, we don't have sheep on our farm, or the capability of growing sheep on our farm. We would have to buy another yard for sheeps. But there's a fair amount of money to be made per sale with furniture and with clothing. As I said, we don't have sheeps. But buying the sawmill and the furniture factory, they don't produce very fast. They're not perishable, so we wouldn't have to sell, we wouldn't be looking at selling every month. But once a year we could do a sell. And because the production is so slow, running a full lumber operation, it's not, you're going to run out of places to sell your wood if you do that. Unless you chip up all your lumber. But it seems to be you produce, a pallet of clothes, a pallet of wood per month. So you've got 12 pallets to sell every year. That doesn't take a lot of wood or wool or cotton to actually make it. And so, kind of like with our bread production, it took us 3 months to process all of the grains into flour. I've shipped all of the flour down to the bakery, and the bakery still has a ton of flour left in it. How much has it got in it? We didn't look at productions yet. So the flour mill is empty. We've got 392 litres of flour. I could do a distribute from there. Bread, we have 58,000 litres of flour, and we've probably got 2 pallets a month coming out. So it's not a rapid production. We are probably going to blow out the capacity of our bakery at a certain point and just have way more flour than the bakery can even hope to process ever in 1 year. We know we can overload the flour mill and produce tons of flour per year, but again, it's way more flour than the bakery can handle. So eventually we may get to the point where we're producing flour and selling it direct rather than converting it all into bread, because we just don't have the bakery capacity. So one of the issues is that the flour mill is a sell point for grains. We don't have that available to us for our own grain production. So if the flour mill happens to be the place offering the most money for grains, we can't sell there. Similarly with if we start producing, if we bought the dairy, currently the dairy is available as one of the sell points for our milk. The dairy, the supermarket, and I think the export or something. We can sell milk at 4 locations. If we buy the dairy, we've only got 2 locations we can sell the milk. However, we can transfer the milk to the dairy and turn it into cheese and butter, which is more valuable. But the whole deal with Maize Plus is we could end up with a situation where we're just producing more milk than the dairy can handle, at which point we're going to have to find places to sell milk which may not be offering as much money as the dairy is offering, but we can't make use of. Now there is that this plot here is a placeable location. I don't know if there was another one. That's a pig farm. Yeah, that's a placeables location. So if we got to the point where, say, look, we could have 2 bakeries and we'll use the one on the map and we'll build another one in order to produce bread. Yeah, maybe we buy that placeable location. Same with, say, producing furniture or producing clothing. If we ever get a sheep farm going, is you can look at those and say, well, we're exceeding. We can produce 1 pallet of clothes per month, so 12 per year. We could double production by building our own tailor and producing more, if that's what we're doing. If we're producing more wool than it can handle, that can be the way to go. Then obviously you have to watch, we're producing flour, we have to make sure that both bakeries are stocked and none of them are overstocked, and none of them are empty, especially none of them are empty, because there's no point having 2 bakeries on a map and I can only produce enough stuff to run one of them. The other one is money sitting around doing nothing. And come on, ding. So once we catch up with the rake, we'll get back into raking. I think I can do both ends of the field now. What I might want to do, part of the problem here is I don't know that I've got enough width to turn around, so I might need to make another horseshoe. But we can turn that off. Jump in here, turn it on, lower the brake. Oh, first Saturday of the month, it's Siren Test Day. I don't know, is it worth going up and down here or doing a double horseshoe at the other end and then baling? Well, I don't know. It's a thing. Okay. Now I have to fit myself between some bales. Oh, I think I've blown it. Yep, I hit both of them. Good job. Well, we're getting something done anyway. So I think once I've rode this end, we'll bail up this end, we'll go down, yeah, we'll take all the equipment down to the other end and bail up the other end. And crash into the hedge because that's just fun. Whee! And yeah, looks like we have managed to get most of this in a row. I think the top where I just messed up completely is just going to be an issue. But I think we can do that. Oh, lifted it too early.